Welcome back to the channel, guys. I'm Sheldon, and in today's vlog, we're going to be talking about what happened to me about a month ago now, and why the channel has slowed down just a little bit, even though you guys might not have noticed it, because I'm generally way ahead in filming and editing and uploading and scheduling. And what happened was I ended up getting COVID. I ended up getting relatively sick. It wasn't a fun experience, and the reason I say relatively sick is because once everyone found out that I had it, everyone started asking me what my symptoms were and everything else. They wanted to know absolutely everything about it, and so that is why I'm making this video, is to just get it all out in the open so I don't have to repeat myself ever again. And when I was sharing my experience with others who had also had COVID at some point, it didn't seem to be as bad as what some other people had, so my immune system obviously is really, really good. And also, I'm not going to be talking about whether or not people should be vaccinated or not, because that's, as far as I'm concerned, personal choice. If you feel you need it, go and get it. Just regardless of whether or not you are vaccinated or not, as long as you guys are respectful to one another, that is all that I care about. So just be kind to one another. This has been a really difficult time in all different types of ways. And so I'm going to tell you guys what happened, what led up to me actually getting COVID. And obviously, I don't know where I got it from. You can't pinpoint where you got it from. It's just one of those things where you can't really track it. It's, as far as I'm concerned, it's impossible to know, who coughed on you or whatever. You know what I mean? Like there was no obvious source. So it happened on a Monday when I first started to see symptoms, and right in here, those two lines on my neck there, they were really sore on that Monday at probably about 9 p.m., 10 p.m., somewhere around there. So I had already eaten dinner, and I had gotten everything ready for work the next day on Tuesday. So I just thought, okay, well, my throat's sore, and I know my body really well. So I thought, okay, I'm probably gonna get a sinus infection. No big deal. I get sinus infections every once in a while, probably due to my allergies. And so I didn't think anything of it, went to bed. However, on Tuesday when I woke up, it was very, very evident that there was something wrong, because when I woke up, it felt like I had been sleeping outside in the snow, and I was absolutely freezing cold. But my first thought wasn't, I'm sick. I didn't think that I had COVID or anything major, because my body was telling me, you're going to have a sinus infection soon. And so I thought, okay, maybe the furnace cracked out or something, right? I thought that there was something wrong with the heating in the house, so I didn't assume the worst health-wise. Now, obviously, I put on, a hoodie and sweatpants and everything to warm up, and first thing in the morning, like most people, you go to the washroom, and then you come back and you make your breakfast and whatever. And during that process of actually making my way to the bathroom and out of the bathroom, I realized there was something severely wrong with me. I had excruciating pain in my forehead, right there, almost like someone had stuck an axe in my forehead. And side note, I don't ever get headaches, so for me, this was excruciatingly painful. It was the most pain I've ever felt in that spot, ever. And so, I knew something was wrong. I was a little bit dizzy. I had nausea for maybe a couple of minutes. I didn't ever feel like I was actually going to throw up. I just felt like, oh, my stomach's, oh, no, it's okay. So, very, very subtle nausea, but the dizziness, the pain in my forehead, and it was absolutely brutal first thing in the morning. So, I texted my manager and said, hey, I'm not feeling well. I'm going to take the day off. She's like, okay, well, rest up and let me know if you're feeling better tomorrow. And so I went back to bed, feeling like the devil was just like ripping me from all limbs, just pulled in every direction, and I'm laying there, and I'm in such pain right in the middle of my forehead, and then of course, you need to sweat it out, right? Whatever it is. So I'm all bundled up, and I'm trying to sleep, and I can't, and I don't know how much time has passed. I have no idea what's going on. I'm just in a world of pain, absolutely brutal, and at one point, later on in the day, maybe an hour or two later, I did eventually check my temperature. My temperature, I believe, was 99.3 or something like that. And then, of course, I tried eating later in the day. I think I ended up eating probably close to dinner time. That was the first thing I was actually able to eat. I don't remember what I ate, but it just it didn't feel like it was going to go away anytime soon. So what I thought was initially a sinus infection on its way was a lot worse. However, at this point in time, I didn't think it was COVID, and obviously, I did test myself, but because it was the first time ever doing the rapid test, I didn't know what I was doing. I think I didn't do it properly. I think I didn't stick the swab far enough up my nose, and I tested negative. So I thought, okay, well, maybe it's just a thing, like a standard flu. I'll be off work for 2 days. And so the second day, obviously, things were still pretty bad, but my temperature on that first day, on the Tuesday, but a couple hours later, actually jumped up over 100. I think it was 101 something. So it went up about, 2 degrees or whatever. So I was like, oh, okay, I definitely have, fever and everything else. This is not good. And I actually tested myself on the Wednesday, because I was like, well, I tested negative, but I'm going to test again just to be sure. And this time I stuck the swab fully up there. It was horrible. Obviously, I did the test correctly because then it came back positive, and I was like, oh, okay. So I didn't know what I was doing the first time. Didn't stick it up far enough because my nose is really sensitive, so it was like tickling me and everything. So I don't think I went up far enough the first time. So the second time, definitely confirmed that was positive, and it made sense because I had never felt anything like this before. It was completely new, and so I thought, okay, you know what, I'm gonna take all the precautions. Obviously, wear a mask around the house. My parents had to make food for me and bring it to me in the room. I had to have a separate towel, everything else. And so the symptoms, there was never really runny nose or anything like that, nothing really nasal related. The only thing that I ended up experiencing probably on the third day was my throat started to get really, really sore, and I think perhaps while I was sleeping, maybe there was some sort of nasal drip that came down, and I lost my voice for more or less a week, week and a half. I could barely talk. Breathing seemed to be fine, No pain, no discomfort whatsoever. I felt fine. However, because my throat was so sore, the only thing that I could actually drink was room temperature water. Well, obviously I could drink, something that was warm, but cold water actually really, really hurt my throat. And so I could barely speak. And my symptoms basically just slowly went down as the week progressed. That first week, obviously I'm communicating with my manager this whole time, and it's like, okay, well, this is how long you have to be off for, and, obviously if you're not feeling up to coming back, then don't. And so my throat was the worst after that first probably 2 or 3 days with the head pain, and that started to slowly go away, I think on day 2 or 3. So it lessened as the week went on into the weekend, so like Friday, Saturday. But my throat was absolutely horrible. I was super dizzy, and the dizzy spells would kind of come and go. And I think that was more or less it. There was no heads up really, other than my sore throat. And, when I woke up in the morning, I was just blindsided by this. And so, I was in isolation. No one else got it in the house. My girlfriend didn't get it. when I had been hanging out with her on the Monday, you know, just before I'd actually um, confirmed, the worst of it, really. And so I was thankful that no one else got it from me. So I don't know where I got it from. Like I said, can't track that sort of thing. But I'm just grateful that no one else got it in my household, especially since my parents are older. And, it just. I ended up going back to work more or less 2 weeks later and went in, did a shorter shift than usual. And I was just super dizzy and walking slow. I couldn't turn fast, and it lasted quite a while, those symptoms that, the fever and everything were gone, right? Like COVID's gone, but the lasting effects of the sinus pressure and the nasal congestion, the coughing actually became a thing later on, probably about a week and a half later. And I think the coughing was more related to the phlegm buildup that, as far as I know, the phlegm builds up to kind of protect your body. So the bacteria and germs get collected in the phlegm, and so you end up coughing or spitting that stuff out, and you get rid of it. So that was just kind of something I looked at online just to kind of understand what my body was, going through. And so I ended up coughing up a lot of phlegm. I would cough and I'd have like this ball of phlegm, and I would, okay, spit that out because that's my body's defense mechanism. I don't want to be swallowing it, right? So I was coughing every once in a while, probably once or twice a day, maybe 3 times at the most. It wasn't a consistent cough, but it was my body trying to get rid of that phlegm buildup. And I think the dizziness probably went away by the third week. So probably about 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks before I felt 100% myself. Obviously, I still have allergies. There's all these dust and cat dander and whatever else that irritates, my nasal passage. So I am a little bit congested right now, and I feel normal. I feel like my level of my allergies affecting me is at a normal level. All I need to do is go and blow my nose. It's not a big deal. So I'm fully recovered. No lasting effects that I can tell. My doctor informed me that I have natural immunity now, so I don't need to go out and get any boosters or anything like that, which is good. But it still does make me wonder, because of this, the whole isolation thing, right? I mean, we've got double standards, for people who are vaccinated, people who are not vaccinated. There's a time frame difference. I don't want to open up a can of worms, but the information that is going around, I'm a very logical person. I think about things from every single angle, and I shouldn't say none of it makes any sense, but a lot of it doesn't make any sense. And the fact that we are basically reverting back to no masks, we're not even really keeping track of COVID anymore, and numbers are going back up, I really do wonder when this is going to end. My experience, as horrible as it was, when I told other people about it, the head pain that I had, it's like an axe straight in my forehead. People experienced that for 2 weeks. I experienced it for only about 2 days. So everyone is different, whether you're vaccinated or not. So that's why I don't talk about vaccinations. I'm not a doctor, so I can't really comment on it. But for me personally, bed rest was really important. Drinking fluids that were warm or room temperature at least, because my throat was so heavily affected, was super important. So those, just doing the normal things. Obviously, I took some Advil cold and sinus at one point. I took NyQuil and, some throat lozenges like Halls, that sort of thing. So those things definitely helped in the recovery process. But for the most part, I was just told, ride it out. Let it do its thing, and once it's out of your system, it's out of your system. We can't do anything for you. And I think that that was the worst part. I mean, the pain obviously was pretty bad, and losing my voice was really bad. But the kind of helplessness that you feel when you call your doctor, or you ask someone, you say, "Hey, is there anything you can do?" And no. I mean, that that was a very um, I don't even know what to call that. It was just, you're almost beside yourself in that moment. You're kind of thinking, "Oh, okay, I can't just take Advil Golden Sinus and this will magically go away in a couple of days." Like, these are really lasting effects. So even though COVID has kind of worked its way in and out of your system, and you're fine after um, 14 days or 10 days or whatever the cycle is, yeah, you can go back to work, but there's still lasting effects, and kind of that helplessness kind of plays on your mind a little bit. And so I didn't really do a whole lot once I ended up, feeling normal enough to work. Obviously, I wasn't recording videos during this period of time for, essentially a month. I didn't record anything because I had no voice, or my voice was very lackluster. And so I really struggled to recover and make videos and get my life kind of back into some sort of normalcy. And, during that time, I did have some people drop some things off to me. My mom had a friend drop off some medication, and a friend of mine, you know who you are, dropped off some muffins and NyQuil. The NyQuil, I put a good dent in the bottle, and the muffins, I pretty much just lived off of those for a week because, not wanting to go outside of my room, because of the potential of giving COVID to my parents. They just said, "Hey, here's your care package," and I was like, "Okay," and so I'm kind of like hiding in my room, not wanting to go out. But yeah, it was quite the awful experience, and everyone was just constantly asking questions, what were your symptoms, what led up to it, and I think what I've just told you is everything. If I forgot something, I forgot something, but I think that's more or less it, and it's just something, avoid it at all costs. If you guys are going out in public, even if they say don't wear a mask, and you think that by listening to me talk about what I experienced, and knowing that what I experienced wasn't even the worst of it, and you're still a little bit worried, just continue to wear masks when you guys go out into public. There's nothing wrong with it. I know a lot of people, because I still wear mine at work, I still wear my face shield, and people will say, "Oh, this thing is stupid, let's get rid of it. I want to just like tear that off your face." And it's like, yeah, but I had COVID already. I'm being cautious, and as long as you respect one another, that's the most important thing. If someone doesn't respect the fact that I'm being careful, then I have no use for that type of person in my life. Because just because you feel safe and I don't, doesn't mean that you can do whatever you want. I mean, you can, obviously. You don't have to wear a mask. But I actually had someone, see that I was wearing a face shield, and I told them, I was like, "I already had COVID once. I don't want to get it again." And out of the goodness of their own heart, they actually put a mask on for me. And I'm like, "Whoa, okay, like, thank you." Like, so people like that obviously appreciate those people, because even though they don't see it to be a necessity for them, they look at your situation and your point of view, and they respect you enough that they will do something to help keep you comfortable and safe, and all those good things. So anyone who's like that, shout out to you for being respectful and being a good person and kind and caring. So at the end of the day, I just want you guys to know that I'm okay. I made it through. Anyone else who has made it through, just if they do have their reservations about not wearing masks, and the restrictions being lifted, and they're still a little hesitant, just respect those people, and love them and care for them, and just keep doing that. You know, don't be rude to them, don't be disrespectful, just respect that they have a different point of view because they've experienced it and they've been through it. And that's pretty much it. So if you guys like this video, make sure to smash that like button. If you guys have any comments or questions for me, leave them down below. And of course, content will be ramping up a little bit in the future, so be sure to subscribe so you guys don't miss out on future videos, and I will catch you guys in the next one.